Να μιλάμε στο κόστος ενεργειακής μετάβασης.
We're talking about this cost of energy transition, but we need first to define the cost of the energy transition. These are the first two slides, things that we all know about that sometimes we neglect. What is the cost of the energy transition? Where we are trying to go from one point to the other. We create an additional cost to create the conditions to make the investment attractive. So we have the entire cost of energy, but during the transition time, we have this cost minus the cost of the investment. So practically, when we're going to some place, we create a motive artificially in order to create in order to make the transition attractive. The shorter the period, the lower the cost, but we need to clarify this. This is a diagram, a graph, that people that know about cost and budgeting are aware of. It includes all the costs when you're trying to make this two-party agreement in order to promote RES. On the left, we have the things that producers of electricity want. They are going to make an investment, so they want to use the cost of energy and make it, it has to be attractive. But in order to deal with all the intermediate costs that we forget sometimes, we artificially try to create costs in the market. The marginal price that right now is defined by gas, it used to be defined by carbon. Between these prices, what are the costs? The cost that RES has to close the balances. The second thing is that we usually forget is the fact that we need to convert the fixed cost into the cost that we're going to sell, which is changing. We need to be able to hedge with the forward market, but you cannot do that long term, so it's a risk you're going to assume. Now, in the RES captured price, that's the price where we are selling RES and not the marginal price. Why? Because in the between, you have the capture rate, because RES are selling at times where the energy price, the energy cost has changed. Now, everyone I think agrees that we are now at 95 or 96%, but moving forward, we will have photovoltaic at 50% and wind at 95%. So in the end, we're going to sell at the price that's a lot less than the marginal price of the system. So this cost in the future will be replaced by the energy storage cost, because everyone's talking about storage, but will not be for free. Storage has an investment behind it, it has a cost, and sometimes we forget about it. We are thinking that we're just going to get free power from the sun. So people that are going to draw up the contracts today, not having the storage capability and with this uncertainty, if they make the calculations, more or less you arrive at the same price that the system defines. So someone should examine what this system price depends on, and if you do the calculations, you see you have this the sum of all these risks and imbalances. So in the end, the risk is a dependency of the natural gas, of the carbon dioxide, of storage, and some other smaller parameters. So what is the conclusion? The lower the system price, the lower the energy transition price. And given that marginal price depends on the price of the gas, the lower the gas price, the lower the cost of the energy transition. Therefore, any decision regarding energy transition should be costed based on the price of the natural gas. Did this happen today? The answer is no. Let's see what happened in Europe. Even though this is published information, this comes from a study of McKinsey. What do we see in the graph? We see on the black column the demand from Europe for the first 6 months, different sequential years. On the blue, we have the mining, meaning the capabilities to produce natural gas. We see a drop, continuous drop in the production of natural gas. That's to be expected. And we also see this 6-month demand is constant. Do you see the effect that COVID had? Because we talk a lot about it, but it's not that important. What is important? What did happen these 6 months? What happened was that a lot of decisions were taken during this period, pressures to expedite RES. This was not the case the years before. Of course, the RES were there, but not in the same rate, at the same rate. So that created a high rise in the demand for the gas. And we talked a lot about the geopolitical games, the Russian games, but in the end, the Russians actually covered the need, the demand. They increased this year by 7 BCM. They met their contract obligations and more. Maybe they could have they could have done more. We don't know. It's something that needs to be explored, perhaps, before proceeding with this increase for the RS. So what caused the increase in the gas prices? Europe requested 32 BCM more due to the PTG, power to gas generation. The fact is that we are in the right direction, but moving in the right direction, but perhaps not with the best avenue. So the gas came, the price was established due to the LNG market price, but a lot of people confuse between the markets, LNG and natural gas, different pricing. The additional quantity that we requested, which was more than any additional import requirements. If we add everything together, South Asia, China, all the other markets, what Europe requested was more than all the others together. So what happened in the end? The LNG request was more than the available LNG global production, and that led to an increase in the prices and an consequent increase in the energy transition cost. So let's see in this graph. A lot of people think it's a transient phenomenon, that the prices will drop and that everything will resolve itself. But what happened, taking into account that production, this is the LNG market. So production of LNG the producers of LNG delayed the investments either due to COVID, due to other reasons, perhaps because they experience hostility from different carriers of LNG. The fact is that you see with the red line the demand for LNG. With the blue, the light blue, we see the capabilities that we have today, the capacity, and with deep dark blue, we see what things that are in a program. So you see that we have moved into an area where if we do not take measures, either by taking gas from different sources or by mitigating perhaps this transition to renewable, to RES, if we stick to the policies that we have today, this situation will continue until 2023-24, and then we will go through a period where, of course, the LNG production is going to be implemented. We're going to go into a period where the market will be balanced, but if we continue to be hostile, to continue to pursue the reduction in carbon pricing, carbon emissions, this situation will continue. No, what I want to say is that the cost of energy transition depends on the marginal clearing price, which depends on the price of natural gas. This is the marginal clearing price, not the average price. expediting this energy transition has led global LNG demand to a level that surpasses the available the availability for supply, and that created problems in the supply chain and energy poverty. If we do not take measures to support investments in natural gas, and I'm talking about production, distribution, and CGTs, because we need to look at least 10 or 15 years ahead of time in order to rationalize the energy transition graph. In the end, we will have energy poverty and a great delay in the energy transition. I hope with my presentation I was able to answer a lot of questions.